What's going on and welcome back to the channel. Today in this video we're talking about Apple Log and how I color grade it inside DaVinci Resolve. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Josh Haynes. I'm a freelance filmmaker and I bring out videos that help you grow as creators. Consider subscribing if you have not already. Now, before we get on to the Apple Log and I'm gonna show you and break it all down and show my method, let's talk about the sponsor real quick because they are offering a banger of a deal. And today's sponsor is Artlist. Artlist is excited to announce the return of the Artlist 100K Fund, a unique grant that offers one creator $100,000 to create a film. When I was starting out as a filmmaker, very young, shooting on VHS, God, that makes me feel old. I dreamt of opportunities like this where someone came knocking on my door and they said, hey, you want to make a film with a $100,000 budget? Go ahead, shoot us your idea. There are 3 simple steps to starting this. The first one is you need to make a film about your creative idea, the thing that you want to make. It's got to be 90 seconds max. You're going to put it on your socials, whether that's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. You're posting it on there. You're going to tag at artlist.io, and you're also going to use the hashtag Artlist100K Fund. You also are going to need to fill out an application. That is number 2. And then number 3 is you're going to submit that thing to hopefully win the 100K fund. Submissions are going to close October 24, 2024. If you're wanting to check out any more information on this, as well as check out Artlist, I have a link in the description below. Click on that, find all about it, as well as check out Artlist. They've got amazing stuff on there. Thank you so much, Artlist, for sponsoring this video and other creators just like me, as well as giving someone an opportunity to make a $100,000 film. God, you guys are awesome. Before we dive into this color grading, let me do a disclaimer up front. I am not a professional colorist. I have done hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of client videos, and I've never had a complaint come back from them that they don't like the color grading or something along those lines, but I am gonna put it up front. I am not a professional color grader. A lot of this that I'm doing, you may not do, but if it inspires you to maybe try something different, then I've done my job. There's a lot of people out there that are very basic to color grading and are new and they don't understand anything about it. So if this helps you out, I've done my job. I do want to say the files on this when you're shooting a log are massive. Now, Apple Log is not brand new. It has been around for a while now. And if you guys would like to see a video where I dive more into my setup, what SSD I would use, so on and so forth for a client or any kind of setup, let me know in the comments below. I will happily make a video specifically on that. Camera settings, you know, all that good stuff. We're just focusing on the coloring today. So let's jump inside DaVinci Resolve and I will show you what I'm talking about. So I've got 3 different shots right here. I'm gonna mute this so it's not playing loud on my microphone. If I play it through, you can see I've got a Ferris wheel that is shot. The sun was starting to go down pretty quickly. This one was a little brighter, mostly just because it was coming off of those neon lights, as well as this one. Sun was really starting to go down. All 3 of these are a little bit at different exposures. That's because I was just testing it out and trying to see where I kind of like it at. I personally like being a little bit on the darker side and saving some of those highlights here, as in some of these shots, they're a little gone. So I've got 3 different clips right here, the exact same, just in standard log. We're gonna go ahead and hop into the color page where we're gonna be doing everything. And for me, I basically just go a couple different steps. The first step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a couple different nodes. I am using a Mac, so I'm gonna use a keyboard shortcut and hit Option S a couple times. You could also right click on it and you could just go to add node and you could add serial node and it's just gonna keep adding them, so on and so forth. So what we're gonna do is on the first one, I am gonna make sure I'm on the color wheels, and in here, I am just gonna start messing with the exposure. I do like to leave my scopes where I can see them. Again, not scientific. I'm just kind of going off of look and barely kind of seeing that. I'm gonna bring up the gamma just a little bit, not a whole lot, because I wanna bring some of this back right here, as well as we are gonna bring back the highs, not too much. If we went real high, you can see it's gonna start blowing it out. And if that's the look you're going for, you've nailed it. I don't want it that high, so I'm gonna bring it back right before it's gonna start clipping. And I think that looks pretty good right there. I'm gonna leave that in node number 1. Moving on, I am going to start messing with a little bit of the saturation, bringing it back. So I'm gonna go to node number 2. And in here, I'm just gonna bring up a little bit of color boost. Be careful because this will go real bad real fast, as well as the saturation. I'm just gonna bring it back maybe like 7%. Nothing crazy. Again, if we shut this on and off, you're barely seeing it, but if you zoom in right here and I hit Command D to shut it on and off, you can really start to see it come back. I can also adjust my temperature. I'm gonna leave it pretty close to how I shot in camera because I like the kind of more golden-y look because the sun was setting. If you were going to do it, you could add another node and do that, but for me, I'm gonna do my first exposure and node number 1, move on to the second one. I'm gonna do my kind of boosting the color a little bit and maybe adjusting the temperature and the tint. Then I'm gonna move to number 3, and in here, this is where it gets a little controversial for some people because it's iPhone footage. I like to sometimes mess around with HDR. Not a whole lot, but I like to sometimes just bring it back a little bit because you can. I mean, it's shooting great stuff. It's not really gonna be bothering it too much. And here, I'm just gonna maybe bring up my highlights just a little bit. And then on the exposure, on the shadows, maybe just a touch. Like I'm talking very little. And then on the dark exposure, I'm gonna bring it back down a little bit just to kind of even it out. Again, if we turn that on and off, you can see it's not a massive difference, but it is making a difference. Then in node number 4, and here, this is where I personally like to put a LUT on top. I have some LUTs that I like. I'm gonna drop this one right here on node number 4 by double clicking it. You can also click and drag it and drop it on top, same thing. If we want to turn this down, I am gonna go right here to the key. I'm gonna click on that, making sure I'm on node number 4, and I'm gonna do the key output, and I can turn that all the way down if I don't like that at all. I personally like it. I think it looks pretty good. I don't need to go like crazy hard and like boost it real far. That's just a bit much. So I'm just gonna bring it right to where it was. I think that's fine. If we play that through, I think that looks good. I might jump back into the second node, which again, if you're labeling them, probably should. It'll make your life easier. I can just see what I have on there. I'm gonna go back to the color wheels and I am going to mess with that tint just a little bit more. Maybe bring the temperature, adjust it right there, and I'm gonna just a little bit more like that. I think that looks good. I like the sky that it's there. Maybe boost that saturation a little bit more. Again, if you go too hard, it's really gonna start to look bad. It's really looking like a VHS style effect. If that's what you're going for, there you go. I'm gonna hit Command Z. I don't really like that. I'm just gonna boost it maybe to just 60. I think that looks great. If we wanted to adjust the second clip, same thing. I would click on that and then I would hit Option SSS. It is gonna give me my nodes that I need as well as the last clip, Option SSS. As many nodes as you honestly want. You can have as many as you really want. I mean, you could just go and go and go and go and go and go. That is a bit excessive. I hate everything about that. That makes me a little nauseous. Again, not a professional colorist. I'm sure there's other colors out there that are probably nauseous seeing the way that I'm color grading this. But again, this has worked for me. Now, if we go back to the first 3 that I showed you at the beginning of the video, I've done the same thing. I have my exposure and then I've got my color grade. I did add, I believe, a little bit of curve on the second clip, trying to bring that down a little bit more, but you can see it's gone. There's nothing we can do. And then I did the HDR and then I added my LUT. Again, you don't have to go this exact method. It's just what works for me. Then again, did the same thing. And again, I also, on the second node of the last clip, brought the exposure down a little bit. Trying to say that because where the sun was, it was just really hot. And again, that's because I was testing out my phone. The first shot was exposed the best, in my opinion, because I knew that's what I wanted. And then I wanted to see what the others were gonna look like by pushing it. Next time, I probably would have shot the shot that I liked, made sure it was good exposure, and then done another test shot and pushed it or brought it way down. But it's salvageable, and that's really all that matters. Again, I'm not gonna go through every clip because there's so many different ways you can do this, but you can see if we play that through, that looks really good. It looks very soft. You would never know that was shot on an iPhone. That, to me, the second shot specifically, looks like it was shot on an A7S III. I lean a little bit more towards that color grading, probably because I'm shooting so much on Sony's colors. And again, all 3 of them honestly look like they were shot on a normal camera. If I would mix this in with some other B-roll, the only thing that would give it away, the only thing would be probably the motion blur at times. And again, they've got plugins and other things like that. But for me, I don't really care that much about it if I'm just using it for something like this. If I want to really be spot on, I would use maybe like the Blackmagic, camera app that's on here, rig this up, put an ND filter on it, so on and so forth, and get me spot on for what it should be. But for the most part, it just looks great. Now, one last bonus tip before we send you out. I do want to point out that I saw another YouTuber. I'm going to shout them out. I believe it was Full-Time Filmmaker. They were talking about iPhone footage not that long ago with exposure and what they like to film with and how they color grade it. And something that really intrigued me was the effect they put on is halation. So if I go to the effects, search halation, I have it right here. I am going to do the exact same thing that I've been doing. I'm going to click on node number 4. I'm going to hit Option S and add one more node, because if we don't like it, we can always take it away. I'm going to drop that in here, and you can see it really changed the look of everything. It kind of made everything bloom a little bit more, which I kind of dig. I'm going to do that on the second shot as well. You can see it changed things a lot. I'm going to do it on the first one, last node, same thing. You can see then if we zoom in here, it really softens it up. And it really makes it look a little more vintage. Completely different vibe, but it's showing you that you have so many different options that you can do and how capable the Apple Log is in this. And this is just coming from me, someone that's not a professional color gradist. I've said that probably 3 million times in this video, but I recommend if you have Apple Log, I would definitely go out and push it to its abilities. Again, if you guys are wanting to check out a video where I'm rigging this up and showing my recommendations for SSDs, how I do it, so on and so forth, let me know in the comments below. That's it. You're amazing. I'm the Iron Giant. See you next time. Peace.